NGN's presentation of the USA Ultimate National Championships brought to you by Elemental Technologies, perfecting the media experience with multi-screen delivery solutions for the modern world. And Patagonia, team sales and discounts for athletes seeking exceptional quality and peak performance.
Hello, Ultimate fans, and welcome to Next Gen Network's coverage of the 2014 Ultimate Championship. We are here watching the mixed semifinals matchup between Seattle Mixed and Boston's Wildcard. I'm Topher Davis, here with my partner in crime, Kyle Weisbrod.
And we are very excited about this game. Two kind of unknown teams popping up. Wildcard has some history, but Seattle Mixed really coming out of nowhere this season. They haven't traveled out of region. They came into this tournament seeded 12th, and here they find themselves in the semifinals after a bunch of big upsets. We have quite the game for you.
Yeah, and the Wildcard, you call them relatively unknown, Kyle, but in the mixed division, I think they're a strong team. They finished in the top 4 in last year's tournament, earned themselves a bid to the World Tournament in Lecco, Italy. I was talking to Wildcard captain Ian Engler last night, and he told me that the team last year that qualified for Lecco was the team that went. They had a bit of a roster change up, about 8 players that are different between the World's team and this team that's here today. And Kyle, I think that's very strong for a team to do that, because it's almost like having 2 different teams for 2 different tournaments, avoiding that difficult double peak.
Well, yeah, and I think there's so much to be said about 2 teams coming from 2 huge Ultimate communities, and it just speaks to the depth of the communities in Boston and Seattle that they're able to put these types of teams together here in the semifinals, despite having strong teams in Open and Women's Division.
A Wildcard starting on offense and starting with a drop on the second throw.
Henry Fan to pick up the disc. Hits El Salam. Great opportunity here for Seattle Mixed to get an early break.
Ian Engler earning the disc back, laying out through Fan. No foul call. Engler trying to set up the vertical offense. He's going to be very big out of the backfield. As we see an isolation cut, 2 cutters come out, and he decides to take the reset throw. And again, another drop on the first throw coming out of the stack. Short field for Seattle Mixed to put this one in.
Fan with the break around for the score, and Seattle Mixed on the board first with a break. 1-0. Evan Klein with the goal for the mixed team out of Seattle. And if you watched our coverage this morning, it was very windy. The wind is definitely down. I would attribute these turnovers to these teams playing their first game of the day in a big matchup here. And this is late in the day. It throws off your rhythm. As an Ultimate team, you're so used to coming out at 9 a.m., 8:30 a.m., playing your first game, and it is late in the day. You've been thinking about this game all morning long, and here you are in the semifinals of the national championships.
I couldn't agree more, Kyle. That late game is a different mindset for the teams. They can be up a little bit later. Maybe they're taking it looser, thinking, okay, we don't have to wake up as early. No one's making eggs at 6 in the morning to get to the fields on time. They are here now as the game starts, 1 point in, and Seattle Mixed starts with a break.
You know, another part of this whole Seattle Mixed story is there's a lot of hemming and hawing about the number of bids that the Northwest region received this year. They received 3 bids, and only 1 team, Doe Abides, actually played out-of-region games. And then Doe didn't perform terribly well in region, which helped bring a lot of those strength points back to the Northwest region, and they earned 3 bids. So for a team like the Seattle Mixed, who a lot of teams question whether they should even be at this tournament, to be in the semifinals is quite an accomplishment.
A Wildcard striking quickly deep. That disc is floating in the air, riding out of bounds to the sideline. But hand is up in the air.
Lauren Nelson calling the foul there. She's the thrower. Being marked by Roberta Abbott for Seattle Mixed.
Looks like one observer is going into the ruling here. The observer is ruling not a foul. Seattle Mixed will get their 3rd opportunity in this game to get a break, their first of this point.
And so the Seattle mixed D-line showing they're able to create some pressure here against Wildcard early and get some opportunities. Waiting for the disc to get checked in, and here we go. Cameron Bailey to pick up. You know, this mixed team, the Seattle mixed team too, you know, I'm a Seattle player these days. I've been there for the last 3 years, and it's an interesting mix of experience and kind of unknown players in the Seattle area. There's some University of Washington players, some old Sockeye and Riot players out there as well. As you see, Drew Johnson unable to come up with it. Drew, one of those Riot players. And then as well as some semi-pro players out on the field.
So a short field for Wildcard here, just outside the end zone. Shoot with the disc, and she finds Angler going up line. Angler, as we had mentioned before, the captain of this Wildcard team. He's a strong handler in the backfield, but he's willing and ready to play explosive defense on the turn, as we saw in that first point. Now he gets himself a goal and ties 1-1.
So we're taking another look. Here is that mixed D-line on offense and that throw just behind Drew Johnson. You can't lay out, and right away, Wildcard using the short field to punch it in, and getting that first point on the board for them is a big one. They get to put their D-line out and see what Seattle mixed offense is going to bring.
Yeah, and both teams scoring on unforced turns to give themselves short field. It might be one of those things where we start to see deep looks just to make an offense take a lot of shots, or I imagine the teams are going to settle back in to their normal play and kind of cut down those mistakes that are hurting them this early in the game.
So we have a bit of a wind, across the wind, coming at the cameras that you're looking at. So there'll be a downwind sideline, but the wind not nearly as strong as for the Vancouver Traffic versus Portland Schwa game that we saw earlier today.
Yeah, that game this morning, the wind really took it out of both teams. Traffic played really well in it, but it was clearly affecting the teams different than the rest of the weekend had. As the wind dies down a little bit, we will see how Seattle Mixed is able to run this on offense.
Nicholas Dare with the disc. Puts it up to 16, Mark Burton. That's Kei Fong. Back to Burton. Burton in the middle to Johnson.
Tough spot. Johnson's in a high count. Takes the reset as Banerjee tries to flood the lane and leaves Burton wide open.
Phil Paul with the disc. Grace Noah. Across the field, slips it into Lucy Williams. Tough throw. Johnson with the disc. And Johnson going over the top. Phil Paul with the goal. And Seattle Mixed offense, smooth as silk, works it down the field. No turnovers on their first opportunity. And 2-1, Seattle Mixed up a break.
The first point that we have seen that didn't have a turn from an offensive line. Good job from the Seattle Mixed, and a good Blady throw. Going back, this really got opened up from the sideline, an inside break throw to the middle, really threading that needle between two Wildcard defenders, and that middle is such an advantageous attacking point for a team, just able to slip into the backfield, and an easy goal after a difficult break throw.
Yeah, Grace Noah finding Lucy Williams, two players from University of Washington Element. I know them very well, coached them last spring, showing their chemistry together from 2 years of play. There you see Jamie Arambula, Idaho as he's commonly known in Ultimate Circles, former Sockeye player and one of the leaders of this Seattle Mixed team. He's giving a little guidance to Drew Johnson. So the Seattle Mixed D-line takes the line again. Cameron Bailey for the pull. It's a low line drive of a pull. Should give Wildcard a bunch of yards before the defense gets set.
Yeah, Ian Engler able to set up at the brick mark for that vertical stack. Breaks it around to the dead side. Got an open defender, open receiver downfield, not able to hit it. So they take the reset, trying to get it back to the middle to Engler. Breaks up line, and there towards the end zone to Alm. there, but can't reel it in. A strip is going to be called as
it's David Reshef who was the intended receiver there, and it looks like Seattle Mix does not contest the strip call. And this one's going to stay as a goal, and it's all tied up at 2-2.
Good job from Reshef being that follow-up. The disc was intended for Alm, but with this wind, it's that crosswind that we've been talking about this morning, Kyle. It picks up the disc, moves it back to the middle of the field, and Reshef, you've got to, at this point in the tournament, you've always got to be able to back someone up so you have two receivers down there. It's just not worth it to watch the disc and expect that your player is going to get it if you have an opportunity to get in there.
Yes, particularly with this wind. It's very meaningful to have people in that backup position, so when the disc sails, they've got extra help. And great job by Reshef, so we're at 2-2. You know, folks, if you're watching this at home, this is bonus coverage here from Next Gen. We weren't originally slated to watch to film this game, but the crew decided after seeing this game was on the field that we've got set up, and it's a semifinal game, and it was planned to be the only unbroadcast game. Felt like we should come out and set this up, and really the crew doing a great job. I mean, let's be honest, Topher, you and I, we'd probably be watching Frisbee and talking about it either way. So, you know, it's the other guys back there on the cameras, on the replay machine, directing stuff. They're the ones really making this happen, so big thanks to them to make sure this game gets filmed.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Kyle, the only game that wasn't going to be covered in the semifinals matchup, and Next Gen's big mission statement at the beginning was to get more coverage of the Ultimate. Why not? With a great opportunity for a finals opportunity for both of these teams. Seattle Mix now on offense. Burton with the disc on the downwind side. He sends a shot deep. It's floating. Good job getting in front of that is number 50, Nicholas Dare, and that is a difficult read for Dare because that shot comes right over his head. As a receiver, that can be so difficult to track down. You can't look over one shoulder or another. You just have to hope it ends up in front of you as your hands are out ready to receive it.
Absolutely incredibly difficult read, but fortunate for Dare. Mark Burton sits this one right in his lap. Look at this forehand, and this is in the tough wind, puts it over his head. He's trying to find it, and it just sits down right in stride for him. Over the shoulder, couldn't really be much easier than that for a very, very difficult catch. And you can see him trying to find that one over his head. And right there, no chance for the defender to make a play on that. And Seattle Mixed, again, no turnover offense, 3-2, up a break.
Both teams have kind of settled in after the unforced drops in the first 2 points. As the game continues to go on, we'll see the pressure mount on both sides as one team either takes a lead or if it stays close, it's going to be a hotly contested match to get into that final spot on the showcase field to be under the ESPN coverage.
Khalif El Salam with the disc set to pull for Seattle Mix. El Salam, well known, has been playing for a long time in the Seattle area, is on the University of Washington Sun Dodgers as a junior. Also has experience on the 2012 US U19 team and the U23 team as well from 2013. Taylor Canamori on the mark. Another hanging throw. Evan Klein comes down with it for Seattle Mix.
Yeah, that just sat too much. If it's not leading your receiver, it's much easier for the defenders to get in, get a play on that. Now, Seattle Mix, opportunity to get a second break. It's Khalif sending it deep. And the bookends catch from Evan Klein. The assist from Khalif El Salam, and Seattle Mix takes an early 2.2 break lead.
Yeah, I follow Seattle Mix on Twitter, and all season long their hashtag has been "Why Not Us?" And I think they were a surprise at some level to make nationals, certainly a surprise to be here in the semifinals, but they are playing like the confident favorite here. El Salam with a beautiful backhand to Klein for the bookends. And Wildcard is going to take a timeout. We'll take a quick timeout as well and join us for first half action here in the semifinals.
Welcome back, fans, to the semifinals coverage of 2014 USA National Championships. Wildcard on your screen from Boston, taking on the Seattle mixed team, obviously from Seattle. They are, so far, Seattle mixed just locked in their second break. Wildcard takes a timeout, trying to get their offense back in an advantageous position. 2 breaks is not a huge lead to have to overcome, but early in the game, it just takes your team out of it a bit.
So in the other mixed division semifinal, which will be long over before you guys watch this, CLX and Dragon Thrust are tied at 10s. The winner of this game will take on the winner of that game in the finals tomorrow.
And that kind of tells the story of the way the bracket has really been working in this mixed division, Kyle. CLX and Dragon Thrust. Dragon Thrust, last year's USA Ultimate champions. And CLX, I believe, was the world champion at Let Go.
No, Dragon Thrust, I believe, won the world championship as well.
They did both. Congratulations to Dragon Thrust. And that was the much stronger bracket. Everyone was surprised to see these two teams taking down the top seeds. Now Wildcard trying to prove that they are worthy of this finals berth. This swings all the way to the sideline.
We have a pick call in the middle of the field here. It's Eva Petzinger with the disc. Eva Petzinger, another member of the 2012 U.S. Juniors team and plays for Dartmouth Princess Layout.
Banerjee able to attack the disc strong. Hammer sending it deep, and a great pass easily brought in by Fatello. A good offensive possession from the Wildcards there, working quickly, switching the fields well, and finally opening up a wide open deep shot.
Like we've seen so much in this crosswind today, this offense for Wildcard really opening up, getting it cross field, and then they're just working downstream from here. Another nice break here, and then Hammer with a nice away forehand on the break side, and Vidiello easily able to come down with that one. So Seattle mixed offense gets back on the field, so we'll take another look at them.
Seattle with a 1-point lead, 2 break advantage though. Those breaks are so important to track in this game. That's the only way you can get an edge in this sport, is stopping that offense and letting your defense score.
It's got to be to Seattle Mix's advantage to becoming so far under the radar. I think a lot of teams see them and count them out because they don't know who they are. They don't. Most of the players out there are relative unknowns. And a team like Wildcard, who's been here before, has played these types of games, must feel very comfortable about playing a kind of untested, unknown team that doesn't travel outside of their region.
Right, but Seattle's in their first year, and it seems to be an interesting trend that mixed teams can start a program and in their first year win it. That was the case for Polar Bears back in 2010, Blackbird the year after, and now Seattle Mix is trying to continue it as Burton is able to hold off his defender, trying to reach it, and he makes the catch right on the goal line, not quite in. He's looking for an option and calls a timeout, keeping possession in the Seattle Mix hands on a wonderful, wonderful play from Mark Burton.
That is a heck of a grab from Burton. This is a full 70-yard throw. Burton does a lot to hold off his defender, and then full extension, and that is a Patagonia Play of the Game nominee here for the Seattle Mix team. What a layout catch. Nicholas Dare with the throw, and Burton full extension. That is a remarkable grab here in the game. And I am already happy that we are filming this mixed semifinal.
Yeah, Whew. It is turning out to be a good one, and a great job from Burton to set that play up early in the cut. You see him as he's running downfield. He's got Corey Karlinski on his back. He gets in position early, and from that point on, it's just a battle between him and the disc. He nullifies the defender from it, and in that case, he's able to use his speed to catch that disc inches off the ground.
So here we come in off the timeout. Burton to pick it up. We've got an isolation out in the lane. That's Fong. One reset back, and everyone else is in the stack. Expect Fong to make the first move here.
Can't get open. Burton with the hammer across. Unable to make the D. And it was able to find Nicholas Dare, who set the play up with the huck. So Dare and Burton taking over this point themselves, doing it all as Burton makes a wonderful, wonderful catch and then follows it up with a hammer across the field.
I feel pretty confident saying that is not what they drew up in the timeout, but Burton heads up and aware, sees Nicholas Dare wide open on that break side and just puts it over the stack and able to complete it. And the Seattle mixed offense grooving right now. The whole team up 5-3 here on Boston's wild card. 2 breaks and only a few points away from taking half. Wild card looking for some answers here. Let's see if they have a trump card in their deck. Henry Fan picking up the disc to pull. You see Brad Hauser there on the line for Seattle mixed. It's a loud cheering section here too from other Northwest teams. Doe Abides and the administrators supporting Seattle mixed. I believe that the controversy over the bid situation really bonded these teams together.
And Angler taking the shot deep. If that sits, it's a beautiful put, and a Wildcard answers with a layout score of their own, finding Lloyd Olson with the cut from the back of the stack. Wonderful play from Wildcard to just get a quick point, get their defense back on the line. And quick points like that really puts a lot of pressure on the offense who just got done scoring.
Well, and especially it takes that emotional lift out of the Mark Burton catch and says, hey, look, you can put it deep in layout for it. We can do the same thing. We can match that type of play if you want to. And that's a great one for Wildcard, and it puts that Seattle mixed line that we had to make a great play last time around back on the line to play offense. And a great shot from Angler here, and a great red down. Olsen puts his head down, extends out, 2 hands. You know, I think that one doesn't quite get the same high rating as the Burton catch in my mind.
No, he was had a lot of space between his defender, and it was a matchup of whether he could beat the disc, didn't have to beat a defender, but a lot of credit to that Angler throw. He puts it up, and it gets far enough that the defender doesn't have a chance, but with enough float that his receiver has plenty of time to get into it. It's a layout catch, but not as a straining catch as the Burton had to do in the last play. So Wildcard defense trying to get 1 break back to tie this game. They're still down 2 breaks in the game. Banerjee with the pull. Strong pull, using that wind to cut it down and bounces in the end zone. Seattle Mix is going to have to run a long field in this possession as we see a zone from the Wildcard defense. Burton comes back to the handler position. He's working quick passes with the zone. A lot of give and go back to Burton. To Dare.
Looks like Wildcard has transitioned into person-to-person defense. And the throw behind Noah. Looks like we've got a foul call.
Burton going for the break on a high release backhand. Gets fouled on his attempt, so the disc ends up falling behind the receiver.
Seattle mixed team still has yet to turn over on their O-line. Nice underthrow.
So Burton, after making a strong cutting play, now doing a lot of handling for the Seattle mixed team. This sits in Johnson's hands. To Williams, back to Johnson. Close D attempt from Reinhardt, but Burton able to do 2 quick passes, and he gets a goal in this game after already having 2 assists.
So after a big point from Seattle Mixed, here's a different type of style play. They face that that zone defense from deep in their own end zone, work it through the transition, and then grind it underneath, a little bit of give and go. Mark Burton really quarterbacking the offense here, touching the disc almost every other for a whole long point up about 85 yards and punching it in to take the lead 6-4.
Yeah, and while Seattle Mix was still able to put it in, Kyle, I liked that zone look from Wildcard. It disrupts the first play. It takes away that deep option. And in a game where short offensive points can be so important to just keep your D-line on the field, make the other team work a lot, having an offense on for a lot more passes, good strategy adjustment from the Wildcard team. It doesn't work for them now, but we'll see if they return to that and are able to get something on those short passes.
Agreed. I think, anytime you can make the offense have to adjust, see different space on the field, and have to think differently, it gives you a bit of an advantage, and then you can go back to the man-to-man and amp up the pressure later in the game.
So the pull coming from Khalif El Salam. Similar to that Banerjee pull. Outside in backhand, using that crosswind to really push it deep and with the edge down.
Looks like junk here from Seattle Mixed. A very loose cup-like structure in the front, forcing lots of throws in the backfield.
Angler and Agneal working the disc. Agneal now has it on the sideline. Wants Angler to get those yards, but he takes the free reset. Couple yards behind the disc. Wildcard not wanting to take those swings on the downwind side, avoiding the trap. They can play it back and forth between Angler and Agneal and wait for something to open up in the cup. Angler, you see him look at that reset, but goes upfield. And now Wildcard is through the cup. They're moving quickly. Agneal gets it across just outside the end zone. Nelson with the disc and a high count. And she is going to call a foul, going for the reset to Angler. Salam was there.
And this is an interesting part of mixes when you transition from your zone defense to person, sometimes you get different gender mismatches. So El Salam here guarding Lauren Nelson. Looks like this one goes to the observer. The observer upholds the foul call from Nelson. So Nelson's going to check it back in. El Salam very aggressive on the mark. And it looks like a strip call here as Evan Klein knocks it out of the hand of Agneal. Let's see if we'll take another look at this one. That is very close. Thankfully, we have 4 observers on this game. I think from that look that Klein may have had the disc first. But I think these observers probably had a better perspective than we have. And obviously, we have the benefit of multiple camera angles and replay. And this would be a big turnover here if Seattle Mixed gets this call.
Yeah, Wildcard on the goal line and 2 throws in a row that are contested by foul calls would be turnovers. The observer is making a ruling. I'm not quite sure how he played that one. It looks like they're rewarding it to Wildcard.
It's an upheld foul call there. So Agneal will hold on to the disc. And he'll call a timeout.
That was a violation. Players started moving before the disc got tapped in. Agneal on the doorstep. And an unforced turn misses the intended target. Wildcard really having a tough time with that short field to work. Now Angler guarding El Salam. El Salam on the disc with the disc on the goal line.
Arambula to Johnson in the middle of the field. Johnson to high one to Klein. Klein steps up a little bit, and Klein taking a shot to El Salam. And Salam picking the pocket of the defender. And Kanamori! And Seattle Mixed with another break.
That was a fantastic grab from El Salam. Angler's in front of him, but he has, well, it looks like he just had the athletic matchup in the air. Goes up early, goes up strong, and two U23 mixed teammates, El Salam comes down and makes the better play.
And this is, I mean, he's like a magician here, going over the top, aggressive play, pulls it out of his hand, and then Kanamori saving possession there with a great layout grab and getting the goal, and the 7-4 lead. Seattle Mixed in control here in the first half of this mixed semifinal game.
Yeah, and Kyle, one thing we talked about before the game, we know the hype about El Salam. He's a young player out of Seattle. You've seen him play a bunch. I've seen him play a bunch. We're wondering, is he going to make a Patagonia play of the game today? That just might have been the one.
Well, that's 2 nominations here for the Seattle Mixed team. They're on fire. And, you know, the knock on El Salam is his lack of consistency, but on the plus side, he is a playmaker. He can do it downfield as a receiver and in the air. He can also do it with his throws. Seattle Mixed fired up here. Up 3 breaks in this game and looking comfortable.
And quite a turn of events as Wildcard had worked through that zone, moved quickly, but they weren't able to put it in just a foot outside the goal line. And then when they turn it, Seattle Mixed takes all the momentum away. So now Angler facing a vertical stack, resets Agneil. Big yardage gaining throw. And floats over the head. Plenty of Seattle Mixed players there. They get the turn, moving quickly. This possession could take Seattle Mixed into half with an 8-4 advantage. A lot of pressure on this offensive line to get the turn back here.
Bailey with the disc here. Seattle Mixed D-line with the disc again. Lots of quick movement from the handlers. Seattle Mixed men dominating the touches here in the backfield for this D-line. Hauser up to Fan, and Fan with a shot deep.
Oh, what a D by Agneil.
Block.
Yeah, that is great. It looked like Seattle was going to go into half with a lot of momentum. Trying to find Alex Duffel down there in the end zone, but Agneil not going to let it happen. A strong play, good defensive effort, and Wildcard is able to keep possession in this half.
No shortage of big plays in the first half of this mixed semifinal. Thank goodness this is being recorded. Petzinger with the disc now for Wildcard. And towing the line.
Wow,
William
Kyle.
Dean keeps this one in bounds.
That was right in front of us, and I got to tell you, that was one of the more impressive plays we've seen of the Patagonia players that we've kind of already nominated. But good job keeping possession and Wildcard. It's unfortunate that that's not for a goal because you just got to move quickly like nothing exciting happened for this team.
Here's another look at that. I thought there was no way he was going to catch it, and that wasn't a great shot at the line, but a fantastic catch, and we're back in play here. This is just bang, bang. Big plays all over the place. Agneil with the disc on the break side. Aggressive mark from Duffel.
Getting high in the count. He's able to get it up line. Back to Agneil in the middle. They struggled in this red zone, but this time a second great grab from Wildcard's William Dean as he's able to toe the line to save possession right in front of our cameras and then gets the goal. Let's look at William Dean do it all on this point. This catch. He has to jump up because it's out of his reach, and then he just extends his tiptoes back on the line. On the other side, a good break throw from Agneil.
Yeah, they're making him work on this. That first catch, though, extension and body awareness to keep his feet in bounds. Fantastic. William Dean making sure that this Wildcard offense scores and keeps this game close, 7-5.
Yeah, a really big score for the Wildcard offense. Looking at a 4-point deficit going into half, and especially with Seattle Mixed going to start the second half on offense, that's almost a 5-point differential. Now Seattle Mixed, now Wildcard can start breaking this back. We've said it before, when teams are in this position, You can come back from a 2-3 point deficit after half, but it certainly is a lot better to get that momentum in your favor and get those chips away early in the game.
And while at points they've slowed the Seattle Mixed offense down, Wildcard has still not generated a turnover out of the O-line. 4 points for the Seattle Mixed O-line, 4 goals in 4 possessions. They need to start creating turnovers before they can get breaks. It's one of those truisms that you hear in sports all the time. It's like you need to score points to win.
Exactly. But it is true. Your defense can't score if they don't have the ball. And Seattle Mixed struggling here in this possession. A high count. A stall is called on Williams. It's likely to be contested, as all stalls are. And the observer rules no stall. I'm kind of surprised that went to the observer in general, not just, it's usually a contest and the count goes to 8. This time, observer rules no stall. It's at Burton. Seattle Mixed in possession, moving downfield again.
High stall, ooh, good play from Shelly Cohen there to disrupt that pass, and Wildcard generates their first turnover out of the O-line, and only a few yards outside the end zone here. There's a fantastic opportunity.
Inside break, cross field to Banerjee. That was a great throw and great recognition. Able to switch field. Now Wildcard, good movement. An unfortunate play there. It looked like Reinhardt was wide open and Scott Gatto can't get the disc to him. Going for the backhand on the flick side. You're gonna get a lot of flack from your team if you go for that and it doesn't work out.
Maybe he thought he was going to be able to get more spin with that backhand wrist flip up there, but he certainly didn't get enough to handle the wind. The wind down a little bit from this morning, but still, you got to be able to throw those throws in the wind.
So now Burton back with the disc. He's been doing so much for the offense in this half so far. We'll see if he is going to do it at this point on the receiving or in the throwing end. And another great poach D. Banerjee picks up that one. He's going to Reinhardt and rushes that throw a little too much. Banerjee too excited to get that break in. Again looking for Reinhardt. Again a missed throw that just gives the Seattle Mixed offense a possession.
Well, but Wildcard's got to be happy that they're generating turns out of the offense here. That's the first thing they need to do, and they've got a couple of them. Now they've got to settle down and convert. They know they can create turnovers from the Seattle Mixed team. They're doing a great job of poaching the lanes, sagging off downfield cutters into the middle of the field to create more and more difficult throws and smaller lanes. Burton with the disc.
So Burton in a back and forth. Seems to be comfortable behind the disc now. He's looking for a shot. Swings to the sideline to Dare, and Dare is going to take a timeout here for the Seattle Mixed team. After 2 turns, they really want to punch in this point to take half. On their timeout, we are going to take a timeout too to listen to a quick word from our sponsors.
Welcome back as we get towards the end of the first half here of the 2014 USA Ultimate National Championships Mixed Semifinals between Seattle Mixed and Boston's Wildcard. Seattle Mixed up 7-5 on an offensive point here. Gray Snow with the disc off the timeout.
Yeah, an offensive point where they've had 2 turns already, and that is going to be a third. They called the timeout because they were struggling with their offense and they really wanted to punch that one in. That's so hard on their team to just throw it away. It was knocked down, but that didn't have any receivers in the area. Banerjee picks that one out of the air. Looked like it could have been a turnover. He breaks up field. McNamara with the disc. Now trying to find something. Struggling, gets the inside break. Wildcard is off and running. Good movement. Back to the middle of the field. They've been staying on that upwind side a lot on both sides, offensively and defensively, trying to use this wind to their advantage. McNamara back with the disc. Inside backhand just over the shoulder of her defender. Banerjee now with it, just outside the goal. This would be a big break for Wildcard if they can punch it in. And there it is, 1, 2 scores, a bobble, and able to pull it in. That was very close, but a great catch from Shelly Cohen there. And a big, big break for Wildcard.
Yeah, so Wildcard getting a break back here, and that is a very important one as they make it 7-6 and put that Seattle Mixed O-line back on the field again. after 3 turnovers and eventually being broken. That's big. And like you said, Wildcard doing a fantastic job with a lot of these little inside backhand breaks, keeping it on the high upwind side of the field, and it makes it a lot easier when they're not getting trapped on that downwind sideline. And it seems like they're very efficient at getting those breaks. And that's Seattle Mix will need to come up with an answer for that to help force the Wildcard team to not get those, because those breaks, when those breaks come, they often are getting that second look once they get it to the break side and without a mark on them, and that's very effective for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And before that point started, Kyle, we were talking how important it is for this Wildcard team to generate turns. That time, they got 3 of them. They were able to punch it in on the third. Now that they're getting the disc, they need to start punching it in with more efficiency. They can't take 3 times. The Seattle Mix offense has been playing really well, and they're not going to give it up 3 times a point for the team to try to make this comeback.
So, but a great point for Wildcard, and 6 possessions overall too is great because it's driving the legs of that mixed O-line, and they've had to take a couple of subs. We still see Burton on there, and we still see Williams on there, but throughout, other than that, they've got an all-new O-line.
A deep pull in the back of the end zone. This is tipped, so they're going to have to take it on the back line. 90 yards to go for the Seattle Mix, and a great D from Vitello, knocking that win in at the back of the end zone and near Callahan, and Wildcard looking like they have all the momentum now.
And that's the second time Williams has struggled to receive a pull, and that one results in a quick turnover here for Wildcard and an opportunity for their second consecutive break.
Vitello with the disc. Just outside, he goes all the way around. That's floating, and a great grab. Let's see who catches the goal. It's Scott Gatto. He had the assist in that last break, doing a great job for this D-line, and that play was really set up on the pole, Kyle.
Yeah, and just like that, we have Wildcard right back in this game, tied up at 7s. Williams struggles to get it. She puts in play, and right away, a huge block by Vitello as Vitello gets it, and then Gatto on the other side completing the break on that around throw. Drew Johnson attempting to put some pressure on, but not enough. And Wildcard 7-7, and the O-line for Seattle Mix goes on for their 3rd consecutive point.
And I think, Kyle, this is really a big difference between a new team and a team that's been practicing together and having a lot of game experience with each other. Seattle Mix, they haven't had a lot of tournaments. They've been doing well at this, not a lot of tournaments this season. Been doing well so far this tournament, a couple close wins. But Wildcard, they've probably had a lot of games where they've been down and had to come back. They are not as bothered by that 2-point deficit. They're not bothered by kind of giving up the momentum. And Seattle Mix, I feel, is a team that is really going to rely on having that momentum, having that strong play throughout the game. And once they start kind of losing that, how are they going to respond?
On the flip side, Santa Maria did a great job in quarterfinals of winning a very tight game against that Columbus Mix team, which had a very strong roster and had been putting up great performances so far. So they have been tested. They've been in these tough situations.
We'll see how Seattle Mix responds. They're now on offense. They're still up a break. So if they take it, they can take a 2-point lead out of half with Burton in the disc, with the disc at the brick mark. Push pass up to Williams. Takes the reset to Johnson, and on the give and go back to Williams. That disc hits the ground.
It's just a little bit behind Williams there, and now Wildcard having the opportunity to get back on serve to take half here. Looks like we've got an injury timeout.
Looks like that's Seth Reinhardt taking the timeout. Reinhardt was a big defender for the Boston Ironside team. We see him make the transition over to mixed. He hasn't been doing a lot for the team so far, you know. He hasn't scored a goal yet, but just kind of that presence on the defensive line is very powerful for the Wildcard.
And Phil Paul comes off for Seattle Mixed, and Evan Klein coming on. It looks like Wildcard's going to take a timeout. We will also take a timeout here to get to the exciting conclusion of this first half. Excitement all around. I'm going to correct myself. We are not going to take a commercial. We're going to stick with you guys through this timeout. And man, this has been a fantastic first half of the semifinal game. Seattle Mix threatened to run away with it early on, and now Wildcard has ground their way back in with 2 consecutive breaks and threatening to take their third.
Yeah, and this third break would put them back on serve, give them that 1-point advantage going into the half, and more importantly than the score, it's going to give them the momentum and the confidence to know that no matter where the second half starts or where this game ends up, they have the ability to bring it back as a team. And we see this wildcard team, at least with a few changes to their D-line. Angler is in. He's been playing offense and really anchoring that point. But after a couple breaks from their D-line, those offensive guys are rested. They're ready to play defense and give the support back to the D-line that's got them back in this game.
Agnew also here on the O-line, the D-line here for Wildcard. He's been playing O-line as well. They definitely stacked this line. They want this point. This is the most critical point because if the Seattle Mixed team gets it, they'll be receiving to start the second half up a break.
Isolation play, trying to get it to Banerjee. Agnew in the center of the field. He swings it all the way across. Now Banerjee with it. Back to Angler. That disc is floating.
Fantastic grab there from Cameron Bailey, and he flips it from the ground to Kei Fong for the goal. And Seattle Mix holds to take it in the half, 8-7. What a game we've got here, Topher.
Cameron Bailey high-stepping after that assist, and he certainly deserves it. He gets a great layout D, and from the ground, that's his established pivot point, just sends a scoober into the end zone. What a way to end this first half. Layout D over the shoulder of Angler, and just quickly finds Fan for the goal.
And it's another Patagonia play of the game nomination here. We're all over the place. This game could fill up a whole highlight reel. We should be doing more mixed ultimate.
It turns out. And yeah, this game not originally meant to be covered. Thank goodness we are here, Kyle. We are having a lot of fun covering this game, and the production booth is going to have a tough time trying to find that Patagonia play of the game.
Well, definitely join us back here for the second half of this fantastic semifinal game to see who makes it into the finals of the USA National Championships. Welcome back to the second half of mixed action here in the semifinals between Boston's Wildcard and Seattle Mixed. We're going to waste no time in getting you the action from the first half. Some phenomenal plays all across the board here, Topher.
Yeah, I can't wait for this recap, Kyle. Just across the board from both teams, starting out with Mark Burton early in this game, saving the disc inches off the ground, and he finishes off that point with the hammer.
And then on the other side, Wildcard answers back with this huge throw from Angler deep to Lloyd Olson, and Olson laying it out for the catch.
And Wildcard, another great play, body awareness to keep that one in. But Seattle Mix gonna answer back as Khalif El Sulam goes up big over former U23 Mix teammate Ian Angler. And a great defensive play from Agnew. That was at a point that was critical for the Wildcard offense.
And here was a big turning point when they got their second break. Wildcard did to pull this game back. And then, of course, the play leading into halftime. What a phenomenal layout catch. And I don't know what's happening in that clip right there. That's Cameron Bailey. And here we go, second half action, starting with Wildcard on defense, and another pull that looks like it's going out the back of the end zone.
Looks like Seattle Mix is trying to claim he hadn't touched it. If he doesn't touch the disc on this pull, they get at least bring it to the front of the end zone. No one from Wildcard is making a stink about this, so they get a 20-yard advantage, which would have been huge for Wildcard. They got a big break on a deep pull earlier in the half.
So centering up to Noah here in the middle of the field. Burton with the disc, and Burton is having a monster game here, touching the disc a lot for the Seattle Mixed O-line. A little high backhand, incomplete. Shelly Cohen makes sure of it, knocks it down.
And we've seen those high releases been so difficult for players, especially in this wind. If you pop it up, the wind is going to want to push it down into the ground quickly. Wildcard coming out of this half with an opportunity to break and tie this game up.
Lots of confusion here on the Seattle Mixed D. It looks like Lucy Williams sets up forehand, switches at the last second to backhand, and Wildcard taking advantage here, working it downfield into the red zone. And a shot to the end zone, and goal for Wildcard. That is number 35, Cody McInnes, with the goal.
Yeah, and great job from Wildcard. They brought the pressure on a strong deep pull, even though Seattle Mix was able to bring it up to the goal line. the Wildcard defense was completely set up coming in, and there's that inside-out backhand break. Kyle, we talked about the strength of the inside-out throws from this Wildcard offense. Normally, they've been using it to stay on that high wind side. This one, using the wind for an advantage to move that disc quickly for the break. Ties it at 8. Momentum on this side could go to either team.
Well, it's interesting in both directions. Seattle Mix have been forcing backhand, and for a lot of people, those IO backhands, sometimes those high release backhands are a lot easier than if you're forcing forehand and trying to throw those IO forehands and high release forehands. And certainly for Wildcard, they've been taking advantage of that, and they seem to like being forced backhand here. So 8-8. In the other mixed semifinal, Dragon Thrust defeats CLX, so the winner of this game will face Dragon Thrust. Dragon Thrust trying to complete the World Championship and USA Ultimate National Championship
and not
dual
only
titles.
that, defending the championship from last year, trying to set up a small dynasty early in their runs. But the way that both teams are playing, I haven't seen Dragon Thrust this weekend. They are going to have to really bring the intensity against these two teams tomorrow, no matter which one makes it.
And this one lands in bounds, and Seattle Mix lets it slide out the sideline, so they're going to have to take it at the cone. And the pulls for Wildcard have really been putting Seattle Mix in tough positions in this game.
Yeah, in tough positions. 7 yards to go with the defense set up as they get it to that high wind side. Williams in the middle, trying to get an inside break, gets it to Johnson in the middle of the field, and Johnson stretching it deep. There's Burton. He was so big in the first half, and he continues his dominant play with a goal in the second half. First goal for Seattle coming out of the half. They are now up 9-8.
Well, you got to be aware when Mark Burton is downfield and isolated like that, he is going to have a great matchup. They don't want him to get it under, but they can't give him that away throw, and Drew Johnson finds him with a very nice forehand out to space. Burton able to hold off Vitiello on the defense. And so 9-8, Seattle Mixed holds their advantage here, their one break advantage here early in the second half.
And Burton, a very fun, very creative player, not only on the field, but look at how creative he is with this spike, the double between the legs spike. I think if he were in the All-Star weekend for the NBA, that might have been a perfect 10 from the judges.
So Mark Burton, a little experience with the Rainmakers. He's actually an import from Belfast, Ireland. That's where he lists his hometown.
That's why I spend so much time in Ireland. I have to be honest, I'm a personal friend on Facebook with Mark Burton. I thought he just really enjoyed traveling there.
Maybe just really likes Guinness. Wants to get it from the source.
So Wildcard offense on the field for the first time this half. With the disc on the sideline. They're now on this downwind, but breaks it across in the middle of the field. Gets a big upfield gainer. Play stops as Lauren Nelson has the disc just 20 yards outside the end zone.
A pick call in the middle of the field here, so it's going to stay here with Nelson.
Has steps on her player. Tries to find her, but Haley unable to find the wheels and make the play on this disc. A turn from the Wildcard offense, and Seattle Mixed defense has been doing so well with their possessions.
So Seattle Mixed D-line now with an opportunity to break and extend it to a 2-goal lead here. Still deep in their own territory, and here's a shot. Settles low for El Salami, easily able to reel it in, and now they're knocking on the door. Lauren Patty with the disc, and Patty in the inside backhand for the goal and the break. Brad Hauser with the goal for Seattle Mixed, and the 10-8 lead for the Mixed squad.
Yeah, and on this huck, it looks like Kara Hammer from Wildcards almost comes in and makes a poach D, but it goes over her head, lands in Salam's lap, El Salam's lap, as Angler loses the disc in the air. A couple quick passes after a break throw, and Seattle Mix gets a break point.
Seattle Mixed really having an improbable run here. And it looks like we're getting a timeout here from Wildcard. We will also be taking a timeout, but keep joining us. We are having incredible action here in this semifinal game.
Coming in just in time to see Wildcard start this offensive point, receiving the disc down 8-5. As they are trying to get some momentum back. Angler moving the disc across the field, now to Banerjee, continuing up that upwind sideline. They did so well in the first half, keeping it up there. This half they seem to be taking their chances and out of the reach of Shelly Cohen.
Well, Seattle Mixed going with a flatter mark on that possession, forcing wider throws at Salam going deep right away. Klein on the receiving end of this one. It's a high arcing throw and a great block. Adrian Banerjee saving a huge break
and
for Wildcard.
Yeah, he's taking a sub. Oh, he came down with his elbow in that 90-degree straight into the ground. He's holding his shoulder. That's going to be a tough loss for the Wildcard team. Banerjee is a strong thrower, a very intense defender. Easily one of his strengths being a strong handler defender, and a good play, putting the pressure on Klein down there in the end zone.
That was a crazy throw from El Salam. You know, we talked about his decision-making execution earlier in the game. That's one where I think if he can put that one out flat and out to space, that's an easy goal and break for Klein. But instead, he put, I mean, that even without Banerjee there, that was gonna be a difficult catch.
Yeah, but so Wildcard with their second opportunity to score on this offensive point. Keeps the disc in on the sideline. A travel is called on Stepanatis. She had run out of bounds and had gained a couple yards, bringing the disc back into play. That's a good travel call, just taking away the advantage. She's still going to be stuck on this line. Should be a count at 0, but defense is set up. Now to Angler. Goes all the way across. Fidiello with the disc.
Nice mark from Klein. It's a pick call, so he's going to stay here as play stops in the hands of Cody McInnes.
Yeah, Wildcard doing a really good job playing the short game. Seattle Mix is taking those deep shots, but Wildcard is sticking to their game. Up line, and El Salam gets the D, poaching into the lane past Angler. They're moving quickly, and this shot from Klein is going to go to El Salam quickly. He's able to catch it. They're going to call him not in. Clap catch right on the goal line. Another break opportunity here for the Seattle Mix team. Floats it up to El Salam, and he's able to catch it inbounds past the bidding defender. 3 points, 3 breaks, and great play from El Salam to get the bookends on that play.
Let's take a look at El Salam's play on here. Fantastic play by him after that turnover. He gets it back on this poach block, flying in front of the intended receiver there, and then takes off deep. Klein sees him, throws it a little short, and El Salam clap catching this one right on the goal line. And then after a couple of passes, hits Fan, and Fan hits him right back for the goal.
Yeah, and that's the type of play that El Salam can make, especially after he had that turnover on the throw. But a good player, a strong player, after something like that, has the will and the desire to really get that one back. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We are going to stay on the camera. There's some confusion on the field as both teams were kind of in the middle. Looked like there was going to be a timeout. Looks like we're going to continue with play. And Seattle Mix starting this half just like they started this game with a big break run on the Wildcard team.
Yeah, the very first point was a break for Wildcard, where they got a short field, tied it up at 8. But then since then, it's been all Seattle Mixed here as they've extended their lead to 11-8. And Wildcard again in the hole and forced to bring it back. But first, their offense has to get a point and get their D-line back on the field.
Yeah, well, they were able to bring it back in the first half, especially looking at a 7-4 deficit. Their offensive line was able to get that D, punch it in, and then their D-line really did a lot of work afterwards. Now we're going to see Wildcard offense on the downwind side, trying to find something in a high count. Doesn't have many options. He just sends it deep. Has a receiver, though, easily brought in. Looking for that continue. Leading pass and brought in to the end zone. David Reshef. Great job from Wildcard to not lose their composure, get the yards downfield to a good matchup, and what looked like was going to be a breakdown ends up into a goal.
Yeah, Ali Heath here on the receiving end of that high stall count bail and throwing the assist there to Rashif. Fantastic heads-up play by her to be aware that it's a high stall count, and by the thrower to make sure that at the high stall count he wasn't just getting stalled, but he put it out. And then Rashef finishing this one off. The very end of it, and Wildcard gets their D-line back on the field. Not a clean point. Seattle Mixed had a look, had a high stall count opportunity there, but Wildcard able to come through and put their D-line out.
So still only down 2. I think they might be back to being down 3 breaks in this game. Like we said, the difference between a team that has played together and has been in a lot of the situations. Let's see if they can put together that run that they really need to get the momentum back. Their defense has only been on, what, 2 points in this half? So not a lot of opportunities to get those breaks yet. We'll see what they're going to do with this first chance in a long time.
Vidiello with the disc, set to pull. Wildcard looking to generate some pressure here. And like any comeback, you can't do it all in one point. You got to chisel away and chisel away. But getting a break and sending an O-line back on the field is a great start. Cameron Bailey, Drew Johnson, and here's an opportunity as Drew Johnson unable to hit Kei Fong. Kei Fong pointing himself, feels like it was his fault. He didn't extend his cut all the way.
Yeah, so Wildcard, here we go. Like we were saying, they have the disc, they have this opportunity. And immediately a shot to Banerjee. He's back on the field after that injury. He's got Fawn, and Banerjee wins the matchup on both sides. Now looking for Reinhardt, going to the end zone, and a matchup mistake. Great patience from Banerjee to not try to force something to Reinhardt. He's able to eventually find his teammate in the goal. Great job to get that break back, down only 1. And putting Seattle Mixed offense back on the line. Yeah,
Sam Dinning here, and that was a great look from Shelly Cohen off the bat. And one of the interesting dynamics in the mixed game is who picks up the disc. I think when Fong saw that Shelly Cohen was picking up, he fronted Banerjee a little more, and Shelly Cohen having no qualms about taking this one deep to Banerjee, and Banerjee doing a good job of holding off Fong there for this catch.
Yeah, he keeps Fong on his back, and you know, he plays it slow. He's not running as fast as he can to get it. He's just keeping position in that defender, trying to get the best read on the disc. Great job from Banerjee, especially coming out of that injury. Like I said, it's very important for them to have a playmaker like that on the field to get back in this game. Down only 1 point, 2 breaks. Wildcard in a big situation here to keep generating the turns, put the pressure on the Seattle Mixed O-line.
Well, this has been quite a game of runs here, Topher. Seattle Mixed comes out, takes control. Wildcard coming back, tying it up. Seattle Mixed extending the lead again, and now Wildcard on a run of their own. The question is, can Seattle Mixed stop this run earlier or later? At some point, Wildcard can't keep going forever. And the question is, can they get enough points to take the lead?
Good pull from Banerjee. High with a lot of angle. That disc hits the ground before it's recovered. Seattle Mixed moving quickly.
Well, going in this direction, Seattle Mixed happy to be out of their end zone. That's where a lot of their breaks have come, is where they get those quick turnovers. And when they have a little bit of space, they definitely look a little bit calmer. But this one, behind Drew Johnson, turnover from Phil Paul. And Shelly Cohen going to pick it up, looking to tie this game back up for Wildcard.
And so far in 2 possessions, this Wildcard defense has scored twice. Now they're into their 3rd possession. Are they going to get their 3rd goal? Disc in the hands of David Reshef. He's trying to find the reset, gets it to the middle.
Drew Johnson with the bid, can't come up with it. Ali Heath with it. Ali Heath underneath to Shelly Cohen. Cohen going over the top to Banerjee.
Slips past Phil Paul, and Banerjee is able to reel it in. 2 plays in a row where Banerjee has been very important in that. You can see from the high angle when we get this replay, all of the Seattle mixed defense starts to flood that live side lane, trying to get that disc back. It leaves the offside open, and it's not the best throw, but as a defense, especially on those blading throws, it's hard to get a read on it. Banerjee's just sitting there waiting for it to fall on his lap. Great job from the Wildcard team, tying this one up.
Yeah, Seattle mixed defense here, not respecting the skills and talent here of Shelly Cohen, all baiting in underneath and on that open side, and she just goes to the break side over the top to Banerjee. And these two teams have now traded 3-point runs here, and we're tied back up at 11s. Topher, this is a wild game.
Certainly a wild game, and I have some mixed emotions about who's going to take away
Mixed emotions, that's a great pun.
You've been killing it, Kyle. I thought I'd get into the game myself. As we've mentioned, we have strong connections with the Northwest and the Seattle mixed team. I personally have some connections with this Wildcard team and a Boston team trying to get into the finals. There are 2 Boston teams in this semis. We will see how Wildcard is able to respond. And 3 defensive possessions, 3 breaks in the second half. That is big.
So Vidiello with the pull. In this game, it seems to be an advantage to be on defense. Both teams' offense is now struggling here in this second half. So let's see if Seattle Mix can get their D-line back on the field. Mark Burton with the disc, and he's taking shots at Drew Johnson out in front. And
looked like it was going to ride the wind, but stays in front of Drew Johnson too far. This Wildcard defense so far perfect in this half. O-line captain Ian Engler picking the disc up, 70 yards to go for this team.
High stall count here. Able to find the outlift to Reshef.
Slow moving offense right now for Wildcard and going for the backhand break. That one misses Vitello.
McNamara trying to get it around. I think Lucy Williams may have gotten a piece of this one, but a huge opportunity for the Seattle mixed team to punch one in on an offensive line point.
Yeah, short field to work with.
Dare with it. High stall count. Burton isolated. And Burton with another big grab and taking the 12-11 lead.
Yeah, Burton seems to be putting the team on his back in this case, trying to gets that 12-11 lead. It was a high count. He was ISO'd right in front of the disc. Good job from the Seattle defense specifically. Seattle mix on that turn is really kind of what opened up this goal to give themselves a short opportunity. Defense is good from Wildcard, but because they don't have that far to go, it's easy to make a connection in the end zone.
Yeah, that was a high stall count bailout. Burton got shut down on his very first cut and had to get on the second one. And that was a tough catch. That wasn't an easy catch. And he's looking a little bit tired. I mean, he's been doing a lot of work in this game. And even though we're at the point of the format where you're playing 1 game a day, these teams have already played 5 games coming into this against the top level of competition, and Burton has been playing a lot of points and doing a lot of work for the Seattle mixed O-line all weekend long.
So Kyle, as you said, it was so important for Seattle mix to stop that run. They're able to stop the bleeding and take a 1-point lead. No lead change so far. Wildcard has only tied it. They've never gotten the lead in this game.
And now the pressure here on the Wildcard offense to get their D-line, who's been so successful in the second half, on the field. And the pull is up. Agneal to receive it for Wildcard.
Agneal centers to Engler. Vertical stack.
Lauren Nelson with the disc, marked by Kanamori. Agneal marked by El Salam. Engler marked by Fan. Over the top, and Haley Alm able to come down with that one. Save possession.
And now give and go. She's taking a shot towards the end zone. Up in the air on the second attempt. Can't quite get there.
Nice pressure from Evan Klein there, but that throw from Alm sails just a little bit too high, and now Seattle mixed with an opportunity to take a 2-point lead again in this game.
The Seattle mixed D-line doing really well. Fan with the disc. to Salam. They've been taking their shots deep. As Klein, it's been a lot of Klein El Salam matchups. So with Klein with the disc, we'll see what happens. He takes the reset back to Fan.
The Seattle Mix D-line really relying on their guys. Their women are almost staying out of the way and letting the guys work it all the way up the field. We have not seen those Seattle Mix women on the D-line touch a lot.
And there we have El Salam taking a deep shot that catches the wind, and no chance for his receiver down in the end zone trying to hit Brad Hoser. And Wildcard offense gets to reset, 70 yards to go on this downwind side.
Yeah, Angler going to pick it up here on the coffin corner here, downwind, tough situation for him. Fan guarding him. Out of the verse stack, Nelson isolated in space. And a tough catch for Hurricane Amori, putting a lot of pressure, and Seattle Mix gets it back.
Yes, short field, and that's why taking those shots deep isn't always the worst idea. It ends up in a turn, but after intense defense, now they only have 20 yards to go with an offense. Seattle Mix would get a 2-point advantage if they're able to punch this break in.
Looks like a call here on Abbott, maybe a travel or a foul. Haven't seen the hand signal yet from the observer. Looks like they're waving off the call, so whatever call it was is taken back. El Salam will get it. They're about at the brick mark, 20 yards outside the end zone for a break and a 2-point lead late in this game.
Klein really working his defender. El Salam and Klein have been matching up a lot in this point. Not in this point, but in this game.
Looks like a pick call downfield here.
We'll see how Wildcard is able to respond. These red zone defensive opportunities are so strong. They can really give your team momentum if you can stop when they're that short. El Salam shot to the end zone. Haley knocks it in the air. It's still in the air. And that one is caught.
Jennifer Cogburn with the goal for Seattle Mixed. And a huge play again. The wind holding that one up there for Cogburn. Cogburn after Alm gets the block on an ill-advised throw from El Salam. Going all the way across the field to the upwind side. Great play by Alm, but Alm unable to get on that second effort. Cogburn making the play for the break and the 2-point lead for Mixed.
So we are going to take a look after that great play from the Seattle Mix to get the 2-point possession at the Patagonia play of the game. This one is being awarded to Cameron Bailey for the D and assist combination that he had going into half. Right when Wildcard looked like they were going to get their break back, he lays out over Angler and from the ground throws a scuba with his left hand, taking their team into half.
I mean, the awareness and the poise there in that situation, finding Fong here, great layout block with the catch block, and Fong responding immediately by going to the end zone and the lefty scuba. Topher, would you ever think to throw that one right there?
I would never think to throw it from the ground, Kyle. I'd have to get back up and set myself there. But Cameron Bailey, very creative player, gets the D, gets the assist, and earns today's Patagonia play of the game.
So Seattle Mix calling a timeout after this, up 13-11, 2 points away from the finals here at the USA Ultimate National Championships. I don't think anybody expected Seattle Mix to be in this position.
Certainly not, especially against a team that has been established for a couple years, that was in the semis last year. And we will see how Wildcard is able to respond. They need to score 4 before Seattle can score 2, or at least force it into overtime. And in the overtime, it's really anyone's game at that point. It doesn't matter if Boston can make the comeback going into overtime, or if Seattle has the edge going into overtime. At Universe Point, it's anyone's game.
Absolutely, and this has been a wild tournament almost across the board. Lots of big comebacks, lots of big upsets in all the divisions, but particularly here in the mixed division. Seattle Mixed coming from nowhere, taking the first seed in their pool over the Polar Bears.
Who were the overall #1s coming into this tournament?
In fact, Seattle Mixed lost the Polar Bears in the first game and then proceeded to win out, and Polar Bears going 0-2 after that first win. is what put Seattle Mixed in this position to begin with.
So Wildcard offense, moving downfield. Centers back to Angler. Angler getting it upfield. Hammer with the disc. To the middle of the field. And we haven't seen as much from Wildcard keeping it on that half of the field where the disc is now. In the first half, we saw them really playing that, almost looking away, even open throws on the downwind side. In this half, they've really been taking those downwind throws, and I don't know if that's been affecting them, but here we see good play. They've been moving it smoothly and trying to go across, not high enough. Klein picks it up.
Yeah, Shelly Cohen puts her head down there, and just an execution error and good offense from Wildcard until that point. And now here's another opportunity for a Seattle Mixed break. They're getting midfield, and they call a timeout. And it looks like the soft cap 2 is going to come on after this point. Well, we are going to take a break here, but please stay with us for the exciting conclusion of this semifinal game between Seattle Mixed and Boston's Wildcard.
Coming out of the commercial, there's a lot of excitement here in this 2014 USA National semifinals. The crowds are all gathering around watching Seattle Mixed take on Boston Wildcard. Seattle Mixed with the advantage, their defensive line in possession right now. So they move the disc around to Salam. Salam has been so deadly for this defensive line. Him and Klein have been matching up. He's looking downfield, nothing to it. Sends the hammer to Klein. A defender is there, and Klein able to pull that one out of the sky. Great connection. El Salam and Klein have been doing it all game, and that is a huge advantage for the Seattle squad.
Well, another gutsy decision here by El Salam down the run here at the end, towards the end of the game, and Evan Klein picking this one out of the air. Oh, it looks like Evan Klein pointed for that. He wanted that hammer over the top, and Klein going up and pulling that one down. It was a tough angle, but he does it over Cody McInnes. And a 3-point lead for Seattle Mixed. So after 2 3-point runs from each team, now Seattle Mixed on another 3-point lead. The run with 2 consecutive breaks, and they bring it to their game point. The game is to 15. If Wildcard's able to tie this up, it will be capped at 16, and that's what we'll be playing to. But Wildcard needs to do some work to get there first.
Yeah, their offense needs to score, and then 2 breaks to tie it. And then from there, it's whoever can score 2. But Wildcard really facing a tough task here. We'll see how they're able to respond. They did well at the end of the first half to tie the game, but Seattle Mixed has just been making plays on both sides of the ball all across the field.
Yeah, I mean, definitely they're winning more of these big plays than Wildcard, and this has been a game all about the big plays here.
Never thought I'd actually say that about a mixed game, Kyle, but it is certainly true in this matchup. A lot on the line. Both of these teams would be in the finals for the first time as a program. Of course, Seattle Mixed is in their first year as a program. Now Wildcard on this downwind side. Hammer with the disc. Up to Agneal. Agneal trying to get it into the middle. Goes up line. They're having a tough time getting it off this edge, and a lot of confusion in the stack. Very messy. A pick is called. A lot of players on this downwind sideline. Very tough to get it across the field. If they can do that, they might be able to punch this one in easily.
You've been on point with this. When Wildcard's being successful, it's when they're moving it to the high side, the upwind side of the field, and they're struggling downwind. And here's a shot down the line for the goal, and the Wildcard offense able to hold. That is Ian Angler with the goal.
Yeah, and a great throw there. Angler has fan on him as he goes up line, but just gets in front. We saw a lot of plays in that first game this morning coming down this sideline, kind of in this first half, because so many teams are getting stuck on this downwind side. That would have been a great play for Seattle Mixed, but Wildcard able to score. Good poise in that situation. It looked messy. It looked like they were in a difficult situation, but scoring, getting their defense back, now at a 2-point deficit, as Seattle is on game point basically from here on out.
Yep. Wildcard has to force overtime here, which means they need 2 consecutive breaks. But like we've said, this has been a game of runs in the second half, teams trading 3-point runs. And so the question is, can Wildcard get another one of those 3-point runs, or is Seattle Mix going to stop them before that happens?
Our question will soon be answered, Kyle, as Wildcard is setting up this poll. The Wildcard sidelines trying to bring the energy to their team. This is the type of excitement that you want at a Nationals tournament.
And it looks like Seattle Mix bringing number 3 Cameron Bailey over to their offensive line here for this game point opportunity. And that just lands in bounds, and Bailey's picking it up on that sideline.
Good job to rush to set that mark up. Now Johnson moving down the sideline. There's Burton. He's been doing so well. Looks off the pass, gets it straight up the line.
Falling around to Burton.
Burton, hammer. This is the exciting finish that we could have asked for, and knocked away. Great defensive play from Vitiello. And Burton trying to continue the exciting streak, maybe not the safest choice, and gives Wildcard an opportunity to bring this game back within 1.
Yeah, going to the well one too many times for the exciting play machine of the Seattle Mix offensive line. And now Wildcard opportunity to get a break here. And here's a shot deep from
Burton's there, tipped up and brought down by Seth Reinhardt on the tip. We talked about it that early. No, excuse me. This one is being called a travel. For the importance of this point, we are absolutely going to see the 2 players go to the observer. If it is ruled a travel, the disc will come back. The goal will not count. If it is a travel, a wonderful play from Seth Reinhardt to get a break and bring this team within 1.
Adrian Banerjee, the thrower here. On the mark, Nicholas Dare calling the travel on this big forehand. Let's take another look at it. Watch that foot. There may be the tiniest little slide, and I know when you're in the game like this and it is a big point, it's a hard one not to call, and technically, certainly a travel there. Looks like the observers are going to uphold the travel call.
That is real disappointing for this Wildcard team. That play would have given them a lot of momentum. Now they're kind of disappointed at that opportunity. They still have possession of the disc, which is great for them, but they need to get that point in, that energy back, and the momentum in their favor. As the disc gets tapped in, Banerjee on the upwind sideline. Gets it up to Cohen. Back in the middle to Vitello. Doing a good job now keeping on this upwind side.
It's Ali Heath with the disc. Looking for McNamara in the reset. Now it comes all the way around to Banerjee. At midfield, Shelly Cohen. Tight mark there from Barker Lee. That was called for a foul, so we're going to stop play here. We're going to stall count of 0. Uncontested.
Banerjee gets it back in the middle on the reset. Goes for the hammer of his own, and that one goes out of bounds. Banerjee disappointed in that throw. Gives Seattle Mix the game-winning possession back. They turned it over with their first opportunity. Well, they didn't turn it over. It was technically a D.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's still a turnover. I mean, if you're counting the stats, I think we give Burton the turnover for the hammer. But here we go. Nicholas Dare with the disc in that coffin corner, looking to go 70 yards in this tough wind. Looks, the wind is blowing at him. He's on the downwind sideline here with a crosswind. 14-12. Looks like we have a stoppage here.
Players are trying to get back in the position where they were when the foul was called on the mark. Now we are set. This gets tapped back in.
Drew Johnson wide open underneath here.
Johnson gets it off this line. Banerjee trying to get a poach. Now he's left his receiver wide open. able to recover before anything happens. Johnson sending it deep. Burton is there, player in his back.
Fong comes up with this one on the goal line, and into Burton for the goal and the win. Looks like a foul call.
Well, if the observer is just going to call him in bounds, that's a touchdown, and there's nothing to talk about. There's no signal coming from the observer. We don't know what's going on.
I'm not sure Burton came down with it.
End zone.
Oh, he lost it when he hit the ground, but he got completely tackled.
And there's a sign from the observers. They called a goal, and Seattle Mixed, in their first year, has punched their ticket into the finals. But it might be costing them, as one of their top players, Mark Burton, hit the ground hard. He was able to reel in the game-winning goal, but will that affect their finals chances tomorrow? We will have to wait and see, as Seattle Mixed is going to take on Dragon Thrust from Minneapolis. And what an exciting game that we got to cover, the privilege to cover this game on the field that we've been showing all weekend. Great play from both teams. I'm blown away, Kyle.
Out of nowhere, Seattle Mixed, 12th seed overall in the tournament, and here it is, the deep shot from Drew Johnson to Kei Fong. Lots of traffic down there. Fong comes up with it and stuffs it into Mark Burton, who makes the grab and the game-winning goal, and Seattle Mixed on to the finals out of nowhere.
So great job from the Next Gen crew filming this. We'd like to thank our members of the production booth, Vin Bowie directing this broadcast, Zuni Haley on the instant replay, Aki Odera, Justin Salvia, and Ian Unger, cameras on the field, and of course, the producer, Kevin Minderhout, back in his role as the Next Gen Network finishes our coverage of the 2014 National Semifinals. Thank you for tuning in and watching, and we will catch you later.